Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System, and I wanted to share with you a little oops that I had. I recently, it's summer, so I said, okay, it's time for us to get into the shells. Yay! I love using very colorful, natural shells that are dyed all kinds of pretty colors. So I did a little research and I went out. I had some shells that I had got before from different beaches that we could use to make different things. And I wanted to get some little, very small shell chips to use as just some decorative surroundings for some designs that I wanted to make. So I ordered what I thought was a strand of dyed shell chips. And I ordered it in half a dozen different colors. And what I got when they arrived was little tiny shell chips that are not strands and they are not drilled. They're just tiny little chips, I guess, that you put in the bottom of little glass jars to decorate them or something like that. But this was not what I ordered. And believe me, I do my due diligence. It said a strand of shell chip beads. Now there are two tells there. One says strand, which means drilled. The other says beads, which means drilled. These were not drilled. Needless to say, I was not happy with my little purchase. And my first thing was to return them. So I put in a return and they said, oh, you don't need to return it. It was our mistake. So we're just going to let you have them for free. And I thought, what? You don't have to return them. We're going to refund your money. And I thought, okay. But then I didn't know what I was going to do with them. Seriously, these are the tiniest, that little, you can't even see it. They're so tiny. These are the tiniest little things imaginable. I can't even make, I thought, well, I will make, I'll make a bead cage. I did make one. I'll make a bead cage and put them in the bead cage. But the bead cage, number one, has to be teeny tiny, and you're still in a position of wondering if the beads will fall out. The little chips will fall out. So I said, okay, that's not going to work. Then I thought, well, I'll just donate them someplace and they can use them for little kids things. So I started looking up little kaleidoscopes. They can use them for little kids kaleidoscope crafts or something. And then I thought, no, I'm going to figure out a way to use them. So after a little more research, I discovered these lovely little glass vials. Aren't they cute? And they come in all different shapes and sizes. We'll pull out some more so that you can see what I mean. Out of here. Here's one that I ordered, and I just knocked my glasses on the floor. And let's see what else I got in here. Oh, here's one. All kinds of little shapes of different vials. So I ordered some of those. And I said, we can put the chips in the little vial and make a necklace out of it. But that's too easy. We can't just stick chips in a vial and put it on a chain. We have to do something with the chain as well. So what we're going to do, with all of this build up, what we're going to do is make a tiny, just a little nice, lightweight, summer weight necklace with a little vial that's filled with bead that has bead chips in it. And we're going to decorate a chain with semi-precious stone beads. And yes, they're going to be beads. I'm going to use tourmaline, because I have all different colors, little chips, as you saw. So I started to do just little I didn't want to just put on a chain. Then I decided, I thought, well, I'll just put little silver balls on it. But I thought it would be nice to have some color, just not too much to take away from the little vial pendant. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a little vial. We're going to fill it with some shell beads, shell chips, and then we're going to make a chain with some little semi-precious beads as a little bit of little dots of color along the chain. Those of you who get kits, if you're here in the DeKalb County, Georgia area, you'll get a collection of bead chips. You'll get a little vial. You'll get the little stopper that goes with the vial. This is going to be a fun thing. You get a little cork stopper that goes with it, and the little screw that you screw in there, and then you can put it on your chain. You'll get the chain, you'll get jump rings, and you'll get a lobster clasp to finish it off, along with whatever little 4mm semi-precious beads, stone beads, I put in the kit. So let's do this. Let's make something out of my little mishap, because that's what we do. It's not quite an upcycle. It's just how do you fix an oops? And that's what we're going to do today. So we'll be playing with this together. Oh, all you'll need, and I'm going to say this a little slower because I had somebody say, you flash those tools on there and I don't know what to get. Round nose pliers. That's these. You'll have chain nose or flat or square nose pliers. It just depends on the brand as to what they call them. Now, square pliers and chain pliers are similar, but not exactly the same. But they are used for the same thing, so you don't have to sweat that. Then you'll need some cutters. Again, they call them different things. Cutters, clippers, snips. Depends on the person that you're listening to and the brand that you buy. But you can go to a craft store and get a little starter jewelry kit of tools, and you will get these 3 items in it, unless you want to go and get something a little bit more advanced. But these are the tools that you need. These are the tools that I always use. This one I've used so much that the little spring has come out, but it still works for me, so fine. And it still cuts, so I'm good. But these are the tools that I usually use in my videos, because I want you to be able to buy the least amount of items that you have to in order to get started. And you can we've made all kinds of beautiful things with just these 3 tools to work with. So that's what we're sticking with today. Then you also need some wrapping wire. It can be either 20, 22, or 20, or 20, 22, or 24 gauge wire. Any of those is fine, because we are just using them to wrap our beads and link them to the chain. I today am using 20 gauge, or am I using 22? I'm using 22 gauge, because we're using teeny tiny little 4mm beads, and the wire doesn't have to be that heavy. Remember, the larger the gauge, the smaller the wire. So 24 gauge is smaller than 20 gauge. All right, let's head on down to the other camera and get started. So here are all of our components. We have our chain, can't see it. We have our chain. We have our lobster clasp. We have some jump rings. I'm using 4mm tourmaline beads. We have our little shell chips dyed in all different colors. Ooh, ah. And we have our little vial. This is the shape that I'm using. We have a little cork that goes in the vial to keep the beads in. And then we have the little screw that screws into the cork and goes through our chain. All right, so that's everything. So let's just get started. Basically what we're going to do, and I'm going to bring this down a little closer. Basically what we're going to do is wrap our beads and connect them to the chain. This is the bead board that I'm using in order to determine how long I want my necklace. I want my necklace to fit right up around a t-shirt or the inside of an open button-up shirt or something like that. So I'm going to go with the standard 18 inches. And the way you determine 18 inches on your bead board is to either line your chain or your beads up until they come up to the 9 on your bead board. Now, the 9 is, this is right in the middle. So I need to go up above the 9, the line above the 9. That will give me 9 inches on one side, 9 inches on the other side, which will total 18 inches when I finish my necklace. So what I'm going to do, what I've done is cut my chain up into small pieces. You need to decide where you want your beads to line up on your bead board. And I decided to go about every 2 inches. I will make, where are my glasses? I dropped them on the floor. Every 2 inches, I will put a little bead because I want the beads to be centered around the front, and then the back will just be chain. Okay, so right here, my first bead is going to be just at the 2. And then I cut approximately 1 7/8 of chain so that my next bead will go on the 4. So it just depends on how much space you want in between your beads. That's how I did it. That does not have to be the way you do it. You can cut it down to 1.5 inches for each piece of chain, or you can make it longer, make more chain and less bead. It's entirely up to you how you want to design your piece, but the bead board comes in handy so that you can see how it's going to look when you finish. Okay, so I've already, as you can see, cut up my chain into the lengths that I want. And now I'm going to show you how to wrap the beads and link them to the chain. I've already done this side, so you can see what it looks like. So I've already wrapped a couple of my beads. Let's see if I can get this to not be so blurry. Okay, so I've already cut and wrapped a couple of beads. Get this right under my, there. So you can see what I've done so far. And I will do the other side so that you can see how it's done. So what I'm going to do, those of you who have kits, I would just go ahead and leave my wire all intact in order so that you don't have to keep cutting up little pieces. But if you would prefer to cut small pieces, what you need is about 1 inch on each side of your bead that will give you enough to wrap, make your loop, and wrap your bead. And what I did was give myself enough so that when I wrapped it, I would have a little cap on the top of my bead, like this. So I just have a little cap on top. Just like that. because I wanted it to be mostly silver, but I wanted a little bit of color to be peeking out from under the silver as well. So that's what I have. Okay. So here's how we're going to do that. Measure out about 1 inch to 1.25 inches on each side of your bead. So I put my bead on, I measure out how much I need on each side, which is about 1 inch to 1.25 inches on each side. My bead is maybe a quarter of not even quite a quarter of 1 inch long. So that means I need 1, 2.5, I'm going to say 2.5 on each side, on both sides of the bead, and another quarter for the bead. So 2 3/4 inches what I need is what I need. And just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and cut off 3 inches. I know it only takes about 2 3/4 because that's what I did on all of the rest of them. But if you want to play it safe, do the first one with 3 inches, see how much you end up cutting off, and then you can determine how much you need for the rest of them so that you don't have to waste too much wire. Okay, so here we are. I've got 2 3/4 of an inch here. And let's see how we do. Yeah, 2 3/4. And let's see how we do on what we have left. So I'm going to give myself 1 inch of wire. Oh, fuzzy, not good. I'm going to grab my pliers and I'm going to slide my wire about 1/3 of the way down my pliers because I want my loop to match about the size of the length of my chain. I don't want it to be too disruptive and take over the look of my design. So I'm not going to go too far down on my pliers. I'm just going to make a relatively small loop. I'm going 1/3 of the way down. I'm going to bring that short tail. I've got my pliers under the short tail of wire. I'm going to push this out of the way so you don't have to look at all of this stuff. So I've got that under the short tail of wire. I'm going to bring that short tail over the top of my pliers like so, and down the side until it's going the same direction as my long tail. Then I'm going to, without taking my wire out, I'm going to open my pliers up, rotate them back a little bit, hold back onto my wire, and then bring the tail of my wire under the loop. So now I have a loop, as you can see. I'm not going to do anything with that yet. I'm going to pop a bead on there. It's over there. I don't know how I got over there. I'm going to pop my bead on. If I can find the little hole, there it is. Teeny tiny. And then I'm going to make a loop on the other side. Now, if I bend my wire back on the other side, when I wrap it, it will end up on this side over here so that I don't have to bump into this side while I'm trying to wrap the other side. Probably too much information, but you'll see what I mean. So I bent my wire back, slide my wire 1/3 of the way down my pliers, just like I did on the other side. Bring my tail of wire over the top of the pliers and down until it's horizontal along with the beads. Open my pliers up, rotate back and clamp back down on my wire. Now, don't clamp too hard. You just want to close it down on your loop enough so that you can hold it in place, because you don't want to put dents in your wire. And then I'm going to bring my tail under between the loop and the bead, and I have another loop. And I want my loops to be going the same way. This is very malleable wire, so all I need to do is twist it to make sure that happens. So now I have 2 open loops. One of these needs to be attached to one side of my chain, and the other is going to be attached to the other side of the other piece of my chain. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to slide that last loop on my wire, on the tail of my wire, and let it land down inside my loop there, my wire loop, just like that. Now I'm ready to wrap it. And I like to use my square pliers to hold on to my loop. So like I said before, so I don't end up putting little dents in my wire. So I'm going to bring this little tail around under my pliers, just below my loop and above the bead. And I'm going to just wrap it around. And I'm wrapping down the top of the bead, on top of the bead, to create that little cap on top. You just bring it around 2 or 3 times until I have a little cap. And then a little last bit of it, just push down against my bead as close as I can get so that it doesn't snag on anything when you wear it. And there is my wrap with my little cap on top. I can get this thing to cooperate. Let's move this over here. Maybe that's better. Come on, focus, focus, focus. There. Finally, there we go. So there's my little wrap. Let's do the other one. Let's see if I can do it this close up and still stay in camera range. Okay. I'm going to, oops, no, I need to connect the other piece of chain to my bead. So let's just do that, shall we? Pick up my next piece of chain, slide my last chain link over the short tail of wire, like so. Let it drop down into my loop, boop, just like that. Okay, grab my loop with my pliers, take my tail of my wire and wrap it around under my pliers and on top of my bead. I want to make sure that this is nice, a nice little tight wrap here. I have a little gap there, so I'm going to take care of that. Just pull my wire tight. There. And wrap my wire around until I have a little cap on top of my bead, just like I did on the other side. And then when I can't wrap it with my fingers anymore, I'll just use my pliers to do that last little bit. And push that tail down until that little tip is resting as close as I can get to the bead and not sticking out. And there is my wrapped bead connected to my chain. Let's do another one, shall we? Let's go on to the next bead, and that's going to connect here. Okay, so let's grab another piece of wire. Oh, and look, I used exactly 2 3/4 inches and it was just perfect. So let's do that again. 1, 2 3/4. Yes. Okay, let's cut that off. Bend my wire back at the 1 inch mark. grab my round nose pliers and make my loop. Again, I'm sliding the wire down around a third of the way down my pliers, and all pliers aren't created equal. So that's where my wire lands, so that it's about the same size as the loops on my chain. Bring my short tail of wire over the top of the pliers and down the side until it's going the same direction, in this case horizontal. Not horizontal, horizontal or vertical with my long tail of wire. And without moving my wire, I open my pliers, rotate them back, and reposition them on top, and then bring that short tail of wire under my pliers again. So I have a nice little loop. Put my bead on. Now you could do it, you could put the bead on next, make the other loop on the other side, and then attach them to the chain, or you can go ahead and attach it to the chain now, and then put the bead on. It depends on how, if this is going to bother you. If that's going to bother you, you might want to save it until after you've already got your loop started. But I can do it that way. I can put my chain on. I can start my loop. Just make one wrap around. And then put my bead on. I can find the opening. There it is. Then put the wire back. Start my other loop. And my chain. Make sure you go in that very last loop and let it drop down into the wire loop. Grab my flat pliers, hold on to my loop and wrap. Now I can wrap both sides because they are ready to go. Okay, wrap it around until I have my little cap on top. And how many times you wrap around depends, number one, on how much wire you have, and number two, on how much of your bead you want to cover with the cap. If you want more color, then you don't want to cover it up as much. But I just want a little dash of color with a nice little cap on top. And there's my little cap. Cut that tail off, so I don't need the rest. I'm going to cut it as close as I can get to the bead. Snip that off there. Push that little end down so that it won't snag on anything. Go to the other side and wrap that side. Which way am I going? This way. There we go. Wrap that around, make my little cap on top of my bead. This time I don't have to cut anything off, I don't think. I think I can just use it all to make my little cap. Push that down, nice and snug. A little tighter. There. Okay, and there's my second attached bead. I have one more to go. And I'm going to do that one off camera. So I think you've seen me do this enough so that you know where we're going. So I'm going to go ahead and do that last bead off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, so there is my chain. There we go. There's my chain with all of my little beads on it. And I'm going to go ahead and assemble my little dangle, my little pendant. And then I'll show you how to attach the jump ring on the end. But this is the fun part. I'm going to put all of these little guys in here. And I'm just putting them in random. I started to put them in layers in different colors, but I thought it's going to get all shaken up anyway. So I'll just scoop them in, and I'm just putting them in with my fingers. You can use a little scooper or a spoon or something like that to put them in there. See how tiny they are? Oh my goodness. I'm just going to fill this up about a third of the way or so. Don't really need to fill it all the way because I want it to have some movement so that it'll catch the light. Okay, so I'm going to put all my little pieces in there. And all of them. There's one. One little stray one got away from me. Oh, isn't that cute? I turned off some light because I thought it was a little glary. So there we go. Yeah. And so now I just take my little stopper and I pop that in and I push that down nice and tight so it'll stay. Actually, I probably should put this on first, but that's okay. Take my little, this little loop has a little screw on the bottom, and I just find the center. You can mark it if you want to. I'm going to eyeball it. I'm going to put it over here where I can actually see what I'm doing. And you can probably use a pen or a pencil to mark it, but just find the center there and just twist it on. Twist it down into my little cork. And I'm pushing and twisting at the same time. And camera, yes, there we go. Just screw that down in there until it's all the way down and the loop is resting on top of my little cork. Here we go. Nice and snug, nice and tight. Yes. There's my little pendant. Now you can see why I wanted to do a chain, because I mean, there's really no skill involved in doing this part of it. There. And now I need a jump ring to attach it to my chain. Proper way to open the jump ring is to find the little opening. Here it is. There's the little opening on my jump ring. And I'm going to put one pair of pliers on one side and another pair of pliers on the other side. So I can get this nice and nice and close. Okay, there's the opening. One pair of pliers on one side, another pair on the other side. Just clamp down and twist until it's open. And I have a nice open jump ring. I'm going to slide it in the loop on my pendant, find the center of my chain. Now you can do this a couple of ways. You can either count the loops until you find your center, or you can just lay it out on the bead board with the beads on the numbers. Mine are on the number 2. Find the 0, and that's where my jump ring goes. And slide my jump ring in the loop in the center. Can you see what I'm doing here? Fingers are blocking my your vision. It's easier to do it with my fingers, but if I use 2 fingers, you'll never be able to see what I'm doing. Jump ring, loop, slide the jump ring inside the loop. Come on, work with me here. Oh, there's another way you can do this. I'm going to put that down for a second. You can hold this up, line up your beads, and hold this down until you find the center. Now you can see where the center bead is, where the center loop is, hanging down right there. And you can slide it on the jump ring. I'm debating whether or not I should take it off of the pendant and do the chain first. That might be a good idea. So there's my little center, my little loop that I want to put into. Slide that into the loop. Come on. That did not work. Trying to hold this up and do it on camera is always a challenge. Okay, so there's my little loop that I want to slide my jump ring into. Let's get it in there. Finally, is that right? Because that doesn't look centered to me. Does it look to you? It does not. Let's move it over. Does that look right? Yes. Okay. And now I will put the pendant on. So slide my little pendant loop inside my jump ring and close it. Just make sure that the ends of the ring are together, nice and close with no openings. And there it is. Yay! Isn't that the cutest thing? Now all we need to do is attach our lobster clasp. So I need to grab another jump ring. I'm going to put that on one side. Again, I'm going to find my little opening, put my pliers on one side. Oh, and here's another way you can do it. Is this the opening? Yes. Here's my opening, pliers on one side, thumb on the other side, and twist. And it's open. Yay. Slide my jump ring inside the loop, or the loop inside the jump ring. Either way is the same. Close my jump ring up Make sure that everything's lined up and the ends are tight together with no openings. Let's go to the other side and do the same thing, except that now we're going to add the lobster clasp. Open up my jump ring, grab my chain, slide the chain in, last chain link into the jump ring, add my lobster clasp, slide that on the jump ring, close it up. Make sure everything's lined up nice and tight. And ladies and gents, we have a necklace. I've saved my little faux pas and made something cute and sweet, lightweight, that I can wear in the summer. What do you think? I think it's you know, and the really neat thing about this is that this has no age limit. Kids can wear it, adults can wear it. It is so neat. And you can wear it with anything because look at all of the little different colors. You can put little tiny beads in there, seed beads. You can use the chips like I used. You can use any little small beads to go in these little vials that you want. But that is cute as it can be. I love it. I should call, no, I already called something that. I was going to say I should call it our kaleidoscope pendant. But we already did something with a kaleidoscope theme, so we can't do that again. So cute. I love it. Let's look at it on the big camera. Yay. There it is. There's our little necklace. Isn't that neat? I love the little vial. I've never tried anything like that before, and it is adorable. Now, I was a little not sure about that stopper, but I pushed that down as far as it can go, and I don't think it's going anywhere. But if you're a little, and that makes it interchangeable. I can take these out, I can put something else in, I can put the stopper back in. But if you're a little nervous about whether or not that'll stay in, you can always put a little glue on there. Word of warning, put the glue on the stopper, because if you try to put it on the rim, especially that E5000, it starts to bubble up because it takes on air. So you want to put it on the stopper itself and then put it in there quickly because you don't want that bubbling up like that. It's not a good thing. That's why I got the stopper instead of the kind that you had to glue the top on, because that can get messy. I don't like using glue in my jewelry making. I just don't like it. I figure it's better not to work with glue unless you really need to. And in this case, I don't need to. So there we are. We have made something out of what could have been not so much a disaster, but just something I couldn't have done anything with. And I think it's just as cute can be. Isn't that neat? And look at the way it catches the light. And every time if you can shake it up and make it different colors, it's like a little globe. I love it. My little tourmaline is the perfect match to go with this. So when you get them, I mean, I have all different kinds of beads that I will put in there, and I have 6 different colors, I think. Actually, I only put 5 in here because it was just too much. But I have 6 different colors of dyed shells that I'm going to give out. I'll probably stick with the 5 because 6 is maybe too much. So you should get at least 5 different colors, and you'll have some semi-precious stone beads that will coordinate with what's in your jar, your little jar. That's it, folks. That's our little piece for the day. I should put it on. That's our little piece for today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you had fun with it. And I hope you'll have fun with it if you make it for yourself. It's so cute. I love it. Anyway, again, all you needed was your regular pliers, one of these little vials. I think you can get them on Etsy, Amazon. I got them on Amazon. And they come in all different shapes and sizes. It just depends on what you want as to what you'll purchase. And get your little tiny beads. You can use you can use little crystals. You can use little chips like I did. I had to do something with them. I mean, really, I had to do something. Or whatever you want that's nice and colorful that can go in this little jar and make a little necklace. Let me know what you thought of this, because this was a real leap for me. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you make one. And if you decide to make one, please, I hope you will show me a picture. Remember that these tutorials are always free. They're brought to you by the DeKalb County Library Foundation that wants you to have wonderful, fun things to do all during the summer. It's not just about books anymore, but we would like for you to go into the libraries and pick up some books. You've got books, you've got tapes, you've got videos, you've got all kinds of stuff that you can do in the library these days, or with the library, or through the library these days. And I hope you will take advantage of it. Stop by the library Facebook page, which is facebook.com/DeKalb Library. That's facebook.com/DeKalblibrary. Give us a like. Look at the other videos. If you put in jewelry with Jen in the search engine, all of the tutorials that I've done over the last 3 years will be available to you. These stay on the website and the Facebook page in perpetuity. They're not going anywhere, or so they've told me. So you can go back as far as you want and pick up any videos that you want. And if it's too overwhelming and you can't, if you found one and then you lose it a few weeks later and you can't find it and you're tired of scrolling down over through all of those videos, just drop me a line at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRYGIN20 at gmail.com, and give me a description of it, and I will send you the link to the tutorial. Okay? Hope to hear from you. Hope to see you next time, or I hope you will see me next time. Until next week, have a great week. Have a great weekend, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.